Hello everyone, I'm Crystal Arisbisado from Section C and I will be reporting about Module 7, Part 6 of 11. We will discuss about the approach to evaluation, the quantitative approach. First, what is a quantitative approach? The quantitative method relies heavily on numerical data. It's a method of using quantifiable data to evaluate projects and programs. Researchers examine this data using statistics to hunt for trends, patterns, and cause and effect linkages. So to give you a brief background about the report, this report explores three quantitative approaches commonly used in program evaluation: the cohort studies, the cross-sectional analysis, and the pre-post quasi-experimental designs. Each approach offers unique strengths and weaknesses, making them suitable for different evaluation contexts. First, we will discuss about the cohort studies. So the cohort studies track a certain set of people, the cohort, across time, gathering information at various intervals. So this makes it possible for researchers to evaluate cohort changes and find connections between exposures and results. We have the pros and cons of the cohort studies. For the pros, number one, it can establish temporal order. Exposure precedes outcome. Number two, it is useful for studying long-term effects. And number three, it can control for some confounding variables by selecting a homogeneous cohort. As for the cons, it is time-consuming and expensive. Its potential for loss to follow up, which can bias results, and it is not ideal for studying rare outcomes. So as an example, evaluating the effectiveness of a new educational program, researchers could track a cohort of students through the program, measuring their academic performance before, during, and after participation. Next is the cross-sectional studies. The cross-sectional studies collect data from a population at a single point in time. This approach allows researchers to examine relationships between variables but cannot establish causality, whether one variable caused the other. It provides a snapshot of a population's characteristics, attitudes, or behaviors at a specific moment. As for the pros and cons, for the pros, relatively quick and inexpensive to conduct. It is useful for capturing a snapshot of a population's characteristics and attitudes. Can be used to generate hypotheses for further research. And for the cons, it cannot establish temporal order and it is susceptible to selection bias if the sample is not representative of the population. As an example, assessing public opinion on a new policy, researchers could conduct a one-time survey to gauge public awareness and support for the policy. Third is the pre-post quasi-experimental. So pre-post designs involve collecting data from a group before and after an intervention, program, policy change, and etc. Quasi-experimental designs differ from true experiments in that participants are not randomly assigned to treatment and control groups. For the pros, it can provide evidence of program impact by showing changes over time, and it is more feasible than true experiments in many real-world settings. As for the cons, it is difficult to establish causality due to potential for confounding variables, and its selection bias can be an issue if the group receiving the intervention differs from the comparison group in important ways. So for the example, evaluating the impact of a workplace wellness program on employee health. Researchers could collect data on employee health metrics, sample blood pressure, and BMI, before and after the program implementation. Okay, so in choosing the right approach, the best quantitative approach for program evaluation depends on the specific research questions, available resources, and ethical considerations. Cohort studies are ideal for studying long-term effects and establishing causality, but they are resource intensive. Cross-sectional analyses offer a quick snapshot but cannot determine cause and effect. Pre-post quasi-experimental designs can provide evidence of impact but require careful attention to potential biases. So in conclusion, quantitative approaches offer valuable tools for program evaluation, providing data-driven insights into program effectiveness. By understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each approach, researchers can select the most appropriate design to answer the research questions and improve program development and implementation. So that's it for the quantitative method approach, and thank you for listening to my report.